Hello all, and welcome to our next episode of Warehouse and Operations as a Career. I'm Marty, and I'm pretty excited about today's show as we're going to have our third quarter roundtable discussion with several of our favorite go-to people in the field. We have John with us here today. You'll remember him as our sourcing company guru, if you will. He's another one that started on the floor with a large food service concept distributor, and now is the National V.P. of Operations with a large sourcing and logistics company. John, how have you been? I guess the last time you were with us was for one of our mobile shows in Arizona. I believe we was with the American Heart Association's benefit golf tournament.
That's right, Marty. I've been very busy lately, but I'm always glad to be here.
And we have Rodrigo on the show again. Rodrigo is a regional facilities manager and oversees several operations across the country. Rodrigo, I think we ran into each other in Lubbock like 3 weeks ago, didn't we?
Yes, sir. That is correct. Just kind of humbled to be here and, glad that we have another opportunity to kind of participate in this episode.
Yeah, I really enjoyed running into you. I was visiting with a newly promoted supervisor and was fortunate enough to observe how you ran a facility site visit. I enjoyed getting to tag along with you for a bit that day. And Joe is with us, our go-to-all-things safety guy. Joe, when was the last visit from you? Was it when I ran into you in Denver, or did you join us on our recent third-party audits and opportunities show?
Had to have been Denver, sir. As usual, I get wrapped up in a lot of day-to-day that takes me away from some of the things I want to do and, some of the safety talks and events I'd like to be a part of. I really enjoyed the third-party audit show. That was very informative. I would have had many a complaint to share with that one. But really, I don't think any of us here can really keep still and not get involved when, with other happenings around us.
And as you'll remember, Joe teaches and instructs safety to several teams and accounts across the country, as well as manages several OPCOs himself. And a roundtable just wouldn't be a roundtable discussion without Philip calling in. I'm going to try and get Philip to speak to us about the hiring, training, and the upstart of a new company here in a bit. Philip keeps us up to date with the different technologies available to us in the world of operations. How have you been, sir? It's been way too long since you visited us here at WAOC.
I've been well. I'm glad to be here amongst a bunch of great, knowledgeable warehouse gurus.
Yeah, you might be stretching it a little bit far in my case.
I beg to differ.
I was traveling earlier this week. Had a really good time visiting at 2 different facilities with a few very knowledgeable soups and managers. While setting and cruising the news feeds, I came across an article, I believe it was from www.axios.com, written by, or really attributed to, Erica Pandley. Let me just hit the highlights of it. It was about teens are becoming adults later than they used to. It states teens are growing up more slowly than they did 2 decades ago, and today's 18-year-olds act like the 15-year-olds of the 1990s. Per a new study, researchers found that U.S. teens are engaging in adult activities, things like drinking, driving, dating, and working for pay, later than they used to, delaying the transitions from adolescence into adulthood. The real takeaways, and let me just hit a couple of these. 66% of 12th graders surveyed in 2014 had tried alcohol, compared to 81% in 1994. 73% of them had driver's licenses, which was down from 85% 20 years prior. 58% went on dates compared to 83% of 12th graders in 1994. 56% worked for pay, down from 72% in 1994. I was speaking with a few gentlemen about the report that I'd ran across and quickly figured out that some may have had different interpretations. I'm personally thinking this is mostly a positive form of thought, though. I mean, a 15% reduction in high school seniors that's tried alcohol is a move in the right direction, right? I know many young people that have put off getting their driver's permits, too. They're just not concerned with having to drive here or there like the earlier generation was. In my time, we counted down the days until we could get our licenses and hit the road. Based on what some of my friends are telling me that are parents, I would have really thought that percentage would have been much more like 12%. I can't speak to the dating statistic, but that seems like a large reduction at 25%. Now, maybe the answers to these lower percentages can be found within the 16% fewer 12th graders having worked for pay. I started working as a freshman specifically so I could purchase a somewhat good vehicle and afford insurance once I could get my driver's license. Maybe there's a correlation between jobs and what's important to today's youth. A lot is different. I had to drive to a friend's house to interact with them. If I wanted to visit others, I had to drive there. Today, we can see, talk, and interact from our own rooms and our own houses, right there on the couch. I see most of these statistics as positive. I guess the question is, for us as managers anyway, is how does this affect the workforce of tomorrow? I guess that can be my first thought posed to you, John. What do you think of those stats? Are we heading in the right direction? How's the industry doing, and how far off base am I, interpreting it?
I think you're right on the money with it being a positive thing, Marty. I interpret this as a generation that is becoming more technology savvy and one that offers even more opportunity to those who can excel in building social skills and collaborating with teammates on projects and objectives. As technology becomes more prevalent, people lose social attributes that we had to form when we were growing up. If your listeners are aware of this opportunity and hone their intrapersonal skills, they will have a huge advantage over their counterparts.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, John. Those are really good points. Rodrigo, what's your thoughts on the subject? Would you agree with any points either John or I made?
Yeah, I have to say that I have to agree with John in regards to a lot of the more teenagers they're becoming more technology savvy. And there's also some, some theories that I think that also contribute to the younger teens not having the urgency to look for a job. Some of them could be, that they're being crowded out of the workforce by older Americans now working past 65 years old, which is the highest rate in more than 50 years, I believe. That's some of the stats that I've read on one of the articles. And also parents pushing, kids to volunteer or sign up for extracurricular activities instead of working to impress, college admission counselors. Another one is academy loads have gotten heavier, and a lot of the teens are just the summer schools have been, not being used as just to, fail to take up a failed class. They're also enrolling to in regards to enriching courses or taking any extra courses and taking for college credits. So that's some of the good points that I think that some of the theories that a lot of the teenagers are not, in a rush to try to grow up or look for a job now that, they have some of those reasons to, or those are the theories nowadays that, that I think that may be contributing for that.
Yeah, I haven't even really thought of a couple of things that you brought up. The extracurricular activities, there is more of them now, and that could be holding people back from the workforce a little bit. Joe, it's not like you to be so quiet, bub. I think I'm seeing a more focused culture regarding safety in the workplace. Is it due to us as workers being more connected these days, with information right at our fingertips, maybe?
Yeah, I'm going to say definitely. Today, what we're seeing, well, at least what I'm seeing, is three distinct groups at work. We got the newer crowd, the millennials. Then we got Gen Xers like myself. And of course, the current set of senior leadership that runs pretty much, the Fortune 500, which are, I want to say that's the baby boomers era, if I'm not mistaken, kind of that way, the older crowd. I think my generation is probably the reason safety has gotten tough. Responsible and outspoken, mainly due to the previous generation having kind of kicked off the safety era for us because they had none. And we helped develop, refine it, and put it into place. The millennial era of YouTube and internet, I think, are so flooded with information of every type that it's real easy for some of our, younger workers to watch some safety videos. And, a lot of our training is online and that type of thing, and feel they're ready to become CSPs. I kind of see what they're talking about in this article that you mentioned. This current generation is, really different from mine. I want to say it's probably very different from yours too.
Oh, definitely. I see so much difference. I guess I do fall in that that baby boomer group that you were talking about. Maybe even on the upper side of the baby boomer group. But no, I think you're absolutely right. With it being at our fingertips, it's I think we are learning more, and we're learning it hopefully at a younger age. Philip, you got a situation going on right now that you've spoken to me about a couple of times, or a story about a young lead. I guess he's actually been recently promoted to supervision. You've mentioned how you're working with him and trying to help him with the newfound responsibilities. Have we hit on anything today you could relate to, that he's struggling with in his new position?
Yes. What I've noticed is the transition from being a lead to supervision brings on more responsibility. And, when the lead is used to hanging on the coattail of his supervisor, it can be a bit difficult for him to adjust to doing things and making decisions for himself. So I have a guy right now that I'm trying to help him with that transition by coaching him and being available to him as, he's running the facility himself, where he used to have a person within the facility as a kind of go-to guy. So I'm helping him out with the growing pains when it comes to that. And it was a little bit easier for me to transition. But nowadays, with the technology and the information available to them, they try to do it that way versus getting experience in. And experience, in my opinion, is the best way to learn and help, going from a transition to supervision.
Yeah, definitely. In our field, experience is what's gonna get you to the finish line. Over the last few weeks, WAOC's been speaking to really that very subject, stepping into management, or that first lead or supervision role. It really is a hard adjustment. I remember my first promotion, and I wasn't sure I was even making the right move. I was an hourly employee, putting in a fair amount of overtime each week. I was being offered a salary position, and honestly, it was going to fall a little short of my normal weekly pay. So I felt like I had really a lot to consider. Fortunately, I had a great boss and mentor. He helped me look at the bigger picture, which was what I would be exposed to and what I could learn. He's actually where I got those phrases, free education and self-education from. He taught me quite a bit over the years. I had learned how to unload and load. Equipment-wise, I'd learned to operate the high-rise or cherry picker, set down and stand up forklifts, and was a pretty good order selector with a tugger and electric pallet jack. I was making top selector pay and knew the only way to get a raise from where I was at was going to be those salary positions and earn any bonuses that could be offered. Still, it was a hard thing to think about, making $50 to $100 less a week. Of course, I learned real quick I had made the right decision. I was interested in my new job and was learning more about people and business. Mentioning people, and I think it's been brought up here before, it was hard learning to separate my responsibilities from my friendships. I now had to look at things from an expense or safety point of view, and I understood a lot more about productivity and responsibilities. Rodrigo, you work with several different teams. I know you're constantly looking for talent, individuals you can lead to those next steps. We're always talking about the difference in a job or that set wage and that career, and to keep, taking on more responsibility. How's the hunt? Are you finding that hunger's, still out there?
Yeah, Marty, that's you brought up some good points in there, and yeah, I still see some really good young soups out there that they're really interested in learning. They're investing themselves and even taking some sacrifices in regards to, if it means staying a little bit late after the shift just to kind of learn a little bit of the program that they're being taught on it, and also we go back to the achievements of or the extracurriculars of activities, signing up for the schools, anything like that. And nowadays, with technology, I mean, you can it's as easy as, 1, 2, 3 steps to be able to kind of pull up anything or even learn or even read on several articles or any other tips or anything like that. So it's a good point. And I still see a lot of young kids that are still trying to wanting to learn, and they want to invest themselves on that. And, just to kind of get that opportunity in regards to, being able to move into a better position. And some of the things, just to kind of that, helps some of these guys. And, sometimes I'll get a call and, hey, how can I get to this point? Well, a lot of times it's just by, setting your priorities in order. Being able to step out of the box in order for you to kind of see the bigger picture. Sometimes you have to analyze it a little bit, just to see what the pros and cons are and what benefits, short term and long term goals. And again, it takes a lot of sacrifice, making sure you follow directions, and whether it's going to be your mentor or your boss or your supervisor, making sure that you stay in line and following those directions, and always stay humble and be open-minded about, about the tips or the instructions that, you're given. And most important, have respect for your job, for your shift, for your team, and also your superiors.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly put. That's one of the great things about our industry. Those mentors are out there. Those people that can help you, they're just waiting on you to ask the question, really. Joe, I've known you for quite a while. Seen you move through several positions and in a couple of different industries as well, production and distribution both. You were definitely one of the hungry ones, and you strived for excellence. Today, you're a strong manager and an accomplished safety instructor with a CSHO certification. What do you feel we're seeing in the industry? Is that hunger out there? And what can we as managers and mentors do, or what should we be doing to help?
Well, Marty, I know it's out there. The only difference I see is when I was up and coming, and I'm also ex-military, was in my day, I felt like I was competing with everyone. And believe me, there were no participation trophies back in my day. Now that at times I am in a position to identify new talent, I think there are fewer people striving for that. And I think that some may just be happy with the status quo for now. Maybe it's due to the age of technology, or maybe it's because some people, you actually touched on it, where they see that step forward as like a few bucks behind on their paycheck and not progressive. Or, whatever the reason is. But it's still definitely out there, and there's some good guys working and striving for that excellence we all want to see to turn into leaders. All of us as managers and supervisors are always looking to develop people that are going to be the next generation of, leadership teams that come from us. And that's going to be one of the things that's, handed down, and our good work ethics, our workplace attitudes and cultures, all those things are handed down.
It is, and I think you hit on it. It's really our job. I know when I walk into a facility, I'm there looking at racking or recalibration, or looking, at management, looking at flow. My eyes are always on, what is it that I'm looking at? And I'm always looking for that talent to bring it up. Philip, you're one that really spends a lot of time with new boots. You probably hire more men and women into our industry than the rest of us. Can we do anything, or what should we be doing to strengthen our young leaders?
Well, yeah, what I noticed with the new hires that I'm dealing with these days is the lack of motivation. And I try to instill motivation in this up and coming generation of workers that we have. It's like they want the money right away. Instead of coming in at entry level and working their way up, they think they should come in making, mid-level money when they really should start off at entry level. So I try not to discourage them. I try to motivate them, encourage them, be patient with them, and let them know their opportunities. A lot of what works for me is I tend to tell my story, my testimony, if you will, how most of us, like you guys, came from the floor, from the bottom, and we worked our way up. And, I just try to instill in them that they can do the same thing. When I'm teaching my safety classes or if I'm having meetings with my leads and my supervisors, managers, I do the same with them. Just encourage them, let them know. And one of the things that Rodrigo touched on was respect. I give the respect, and I usually get it in return for the most part. And I also let them know that I'm available to them should they have any questions. And if I'm not able to answer them, I'll find out the answer for them and get back to them. But the relationship, it starts with the relationship right there in the interview, and the start date and the training. The training is the most important part. You kick the training off in a good, positive light, you're more than likely to keep a associate around for a while. And, that can motivate them to try to, grow within the company, which could benefit all of us.
There's that experience word again. I think every one of us has hit on the word experience. Experience is where the money comes from. The more that you can do, the better you can do it, the more money you're going to make. John, I know you've been sitting back taking notes as we ramble on. Share your thoughts and maybe tell us where you feel the industry is heading for us, as young men and women looking for an industry we can grow and prosper in.
Well, you're right, Marty. I have been listening. And one thing that I would like to mention is my kind of a personal prediction that in the next 10 to 20 years, you will see the retail business sector downsize significantly, mainly due to consumers making their purchases online at retailers like Amazon and eBay. I believe this will eliminate all of those retail jobs and create a higher number of warehouse and distribution positions to replace them, as this will bypass the brick and mortar business model and create an increase in wholesale direct ship to consumer goods. Again, technology is the future, and I believe it will only create more opportunity in the warehouse and operations businesses.
Men, I'd once again like to thank you for taking the time to talk with us here at WAOC. I love these roundtables and hope each of you will do another one with me in about 13 weeks.
Appreciate it, Marty. Thank you so much for the invite.
You can count me in.
Absolutely, Marty. Always happy to be here.
Oh, yeah. Any invitation will not be overlooked.
Outstanding. I've received a couple more suggestions and topics, questions really, I guess, on management paths and opportunities, so we'll look into those subjects. Maybe I can get a few guests on the show that's recently made the transition or taken that next step over the next few weeks. Thanks for listening in with us this week. We appreciate all the participation. Keep all those emails coming in and point us in the direction you'd like to hear more about. Remember, you can follow our Facebook and Twitter feeds using the little @ WHSEANDOPS, and email us, host@warehouseandoperationsasacareer.com. And you can catch up on any missed episodes on iTunes, Google Play Music, or most any podcatcher on your device, and everything's on our website also, warehouseandoperationsasacareer.com. Please remember to think safe and work safe. Practice those safety procedures you've learned at work and home both. Those we count on are counting on us.